May all be happy, may all be healthy, may all experience possessiveness and wealth. May none suffer from grief and sorrow. Friends, in today's lecture, we are going to study or we are going to learn the poem entitled I See It and Look Out by Walt Whitman. The first of all, I warmly welcome one and all. Friends, the titles I Sit and Look Out. Very philosophical and significant and symbolical and suggestive titles. But before going to learn and talk about the poems and explain it, I give brief information and introduction about the writer. The poet Walt Whitman, 1819 to 92, was one of the most influential poets in American literature. Whitman had only a few years of formal education before working as an office boy for several lawyers. He later worked as a typesetter for newspapers and journals. Whitman was determined to become a writer, and his most famous work, Leaves of Grass, a collection of poems, was first published in 1855. Then he continued to expand and revise the collection until his death. His other works include Franklin Evans, Drum Taps, Memorandums during the war, Specimen Days, and Democratic Justice. Whitman is considered as a trailblazer in both the form and content of his poetry. And he was a great admirer of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Americans, right. We'll see about poems. First, these poems, I Sit and Look Out, first published in 1900, edition of Leaf of Grass. This poem seems to be a cry of anguish at all the things that are going wrong in this world. The speaker can either be seen as simply observing but helpless to do anything about their injustice, or as someone who is trying to be more aware of everything that is wrong and at least talk about it so that they are not hidden away or glossed over. So means in the present poems is talk about the wrong things which is going to happens in surrounding in around us or in this world. Friends, when we check things about this and this about this world, today's this era is known as the Kali Yuga, and when we think about this age, age and this era is also called as the evil age. And which is also known as the Kali Yuga. Or it can be the age of chaos, age of sin, age of infidelity, age of dispassion, age of decadence, age of misrule, misorder, duplicate, hypocrisy. And if you want to escape from the vices of Kali Yuga, then we must be things, whatever the writers teaches us, we must be study and we must be applied that things in our day-to-day lives. This is the features of the Kali Yuga. When we come to the Indian sons literatures, sons, poet as a prophet, Thomas Carlyle's poet as a prophet, and son to come talk about a Kali Yuga, the features of the Kali Yuga. that means it is a very decadent age. He portrays him vividly as he would be. In this age of evil, poetry is an infinite art. The world teem with theatrical performance. Their craving, their craving for money, lusting for women, and sheer reproduction define their values and priorities, and what they mouth has no connection with their own being. Hypocrites, they pretend such concern for where the world is going, talk of self-sacrifice which is far from their minds. They cite Vedic injection but can't do themselves any good. This is the features and characteristic of this Kali Yuga. They are unable to view their own bodies in perspective, says Sant Tukaram. A torturesome death awaits all those whose language is divorced from being. Then in the next also it says, people display their own daughters like. Now, when we think about this Iran, the title itself says, I sit and look out. So, what I find, people display their own daughters like goods for sale and marry them off to the highest builder, bidder. This is the done thing in the age of the infidel Kali. Virtue is the beggar, vice is the king. This is the picture of this era. Virtue is the beggar, vice is the king. Drops out from decency and Brahmans and the learned person. Brahmans mean learned, scholars person. The guides, they themselves lie and steal. So these are the features of this era. All the sons, Maharashtrian sons, talk a little bit about in that all that. What's going to happen. Okay. Anyway, now in the present poem also the poet talks about that, and the titles, I sit and look out. So I read line by lines and I try to explain. Very this present poem, its language is very simple and obvious and clear. I sit and look out upon all the sorrows of the world. No one is happy. Sorrows of the world. And upon all operations and say. And when I sit and look out from through the window, I found out that there is all the sorrows in this world. And operations and the same. Operations means prolonged cruel or unjust treatment. I hear secret convulsive sobs from young men at anguish with themselves, remorseful after deeds done. I hears on all things. I'm never good news never comes in my ears. I hear secret convulsive sobs from young men. Convulsive, violent, jerky, uncontrollable moment. Violent songs, sobs from young men at anguish with themselves, remorseful after deed done. Physical means their pains, their sorrows. Means when their actions they remain remorseful after deeds done. Means young men's deeds, and then they repent, and that miserable and sorrowful songs I hear. I see in low life the mother misused by her children, and I see mother is misused by her children. The children's is forces and orders to the fathers and mothers, and they works like a labor from them. So I see in the low life the mother misused by her children, dying, neglected, gaunt, and desperate. These are the features of this era. Neglected, dying, neglected, gaunt, and desperate. Gaunt, very lean and haggard, especially due to the illness or mistreatment. Yes, that's why there is the parent houses is established. They are not treating, not caring in their parents. The treacherous, I see the wife misused by her husband. I see the treacherous seducer of a woman. I see the wife misused by her husband, and a husband is misused by these features we found in the everywhere in the world. I see the treacherous seducer of young women, and seducer seduces the young women to giving the or giving the jobs opportunities and giving that monies. And everywhere we see in the private company, as well as this also entered in the education, every field, each and every field. I see this treacherous seducer of young women. I mark the ranklings of jealousy and unrequited love, attempted to be hide. I see these sides on the earth. Poets say, I mark the rankling of jealousy, and everywhere is jealousy. Something that continue to be painful or cause anyone anger or irritations, a state in which feeling of sentiment is not reciprocated or rewarded. It means the meaning of that rankling of jealousy and unrequited love. Unrequited laws, which is not shown. Because when we think about laws, the most of the philosophers and the writers and the scholars talk about the law, but laws to whom we are loving, no expectation is there. In the law, no expectations, no desires, no ambitions, nothing is gains, nothing is, there is no selfishness. That is called the law, that is pure love, platonic love. But here's unrequited love, attempted to be hide. I see these sides on the earth, and I see these sides on the earth. I see the workings of battle, pest silence, battles, pest silence, tyranny. I see martyrs and the prisoners. I see the workings of battle. I see everywhere there is the soldiers and the battles, pestilence, pestilence, tyranny. I see martyrs and prisoners. I see martyrs as well as the prisoners. What is their condition? How they are moving to martyrs? What is happens in the real lives? I see. And I observe famine at sea. I observe the sailors casting lots who shall be killed to preserve the lives of the rest. I observe a famine at sea. I observe the sailors casting lots. Casting means lottery system. Lots. Who shall be killed? So while playing that lottery tickets and gums and all that place, they are quarrel each others and killed to preserve the lives of the rest. And instead of to preserve the lives of the rest, instead of helping them, they are killing each others. So I think all that things on the earth. I observe the slights and degradations cast by arrogant persons upon laborers. Degradations, humiliated, suffer a loss of pride or dignity. So I observe the slight and degradation cast by arrogant person, arrogant, rich persons, ambitious persons, upon laborers. Laborers, common mans. Which everywhere there is corruption is going to happen. Everywhere. In education field also there is corruption. They are seducing, making corruptions. So persons upon labor, the poor and upon Negroes and like. And there is also decadence is there, segregations between the genders and between the colors and between the caste and the religions due to their own profit. The politicians also making the gulf between the house and house not. Not only house and house not, they also making the gulf between the on the basis of the caste, basis of the religions, basis of the colors for their own profit, for their own property, for their own profit and the church. So I observe the slights and degradation cast by arrogant persons upon laborers, the poor, and upon Negroes and the like. Therefore, the poets particularly mention the word said Negroes means colors and like. Last, all these means all these whatever the poet had discussed in through these lines. All these, all the meanness and agony without end. And this is the meanness, foolish, nonsense, meaningless, agony, extreme pain, sorrow without end. There is no end. I sitting means I'm the poet and that person is helpless. I sitting look out upon, see, hear, and am silent. Poet say, I see, I hear, but I am silent because the power is not in my hands. I am the powerless. I am the chairless. I am the authorityless because I am not the minister. I am not the kings. I can't do anything. So I'm that's what therefore he says, I see, I hear, but I am silent. But the our duty is that at least we have to discuss all that things. Means if you focus, if you discuss, if you talks about that, at least that things comes in front of the society and in the ears of the peoples. So at least they can think and they can talk and they can make the voice against them. That is important. So all that things, the features and the evilness of this Kali Yuga, this materialism, the poet focuses particularly and mainly. Then I have also given two questions, the friends. These poems for FR becomes additional English. And and when we think about the questions, university questions, so one question goes for 7 marks, and you have to write in 100 and 150 words. So two important questions. The comment on the significance of the last two lines of the poem. Last two lines. All these meanness and agony without end, I sitting, look out upon, see, hear, and am silent. Comment on that. Second question. Comment on the universality of this poem. What is the relevance of this poem today? Very important questions, meaningful questions. Comment on the universality, because poem talk about the universality. When we come about that poors and Negroes and all this, and what is the relevance of this poem in today in contemporary lives? So write this poem's answers in 150 words. So thank you for watching my YouTube channels and present poem. I sit and look out. If you like, comment it, share it. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we have seen in details about all that poems. I also tried. I read line by lines and try to explain it. Very simple poems. All words and all the meanings are very simple. Thank you very much.